Welcome to another episode of It's Debatable NBA Edition. I'm your host, Justin Jones, here with co-host Seb. Last time we all gathered together around the table, the first round of the playoffs was still going on. We had a couple of game sixes that was transpiring. We had some game sevens that ended up happening over the weekend. Let's just shout out the teams that, that advanced that we did not speak about, right? We had the Cleveland Cavaliers in a real tough battle, game seven, at least in the first half, right? We seen Cleveland pull away in the second half, and Donovan Mitchell and James Harden definitely avoided, a monumental collapse, right? Would have been talked about everywhere. Would have been real easy, right? Just to go with the narrative of Donovan Mitchell not playing well in big games, or James Harden this, that, and the third. Just do you have any takeaways just from what you've seen in that game seven?
Takeaways. Cleveland plays well at home. That's my biggest takeaway from that, and they're gonna have to keep doing that in order to further advance in the playoffs. Though another takeaway I'd give away is the Raptors continue to keep building. You've seen a lot of flashes within these young stars. In this playoff series. And I think I want to give a big shout out to Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett for holding down the fourth with the Brandon Ingram that even when he did play was not effective whatsoever. Didn't really do much for the team, but everybody else. I'd say this: I was very impressed with the Raptors this playoff series, even though that they didn't get out the first round. Even though nobody was necessarily expecting them to, they made it a tough series. They played hard at home. You just get to see flashes of young players like the Boyles kid and I believe the Walter kid that stepped up for Ingram too, and became one of them marksmen. I'll say that Scotty Barnes, I think, got way better in the playoffs than it was in the regular season. I'm interested to see his growth and development too. Another guy, RJ Barry, once again, who I say showed out this playoff series too as well. Had a notion on him that he struggled in the playoffs while his tenure with the Knicks. But in this case, going around, I was very impressed with what I see from RJ Barrett, though. So once again, shout out to the Raptors for making this a competitive seven-game series in the first round.
Yeah, shout out to Cleveland, right, for getting the job done. Definitely, like I said, pulled away in that second half. We've seen a real aggressive game out of the Jarrett Allen, right, on the offensive and defensive glass, just being a menace down there. Donovan Mitchell made some shots. James Harden made some shots. You got what you got out of Evan Mobley. Um, just in that series, I felt like the better team was Cleveland, but Toronto was just playing with more heart, more grit. Those young people on the roster was just playing carefree. You had a lot of people on their bench who aren't household names, right? Just trying to make a name for themselves and trying to get contracts and just playing their heart out. Like I said before, when speaking about the Raptors, I believe that they're in need of a true point guard. And once again, not speaking of Emmanuel quickly, who was not able to perform in this series just due to injury, but I think they need a guard. Do you look maybe to trade one out of those three wings, right? Could you have Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, and Scotty Barnes, who are all forward slash power forwards, however you want to label them. Definitely, I don't think you would trade Scotty Barnes because I feel like he can do so many different things. But an RJ Barrett or Brandon Ingram, just do you look to see what you can get to try to really um round out your team, and I also think they need to bolster their bench. There came times right when Scotty Barnes isn't on the floor on RJ Barrett, and you're looking for guys to carry you, but they're just not the top echelon of talent. So they just gotta fill some holes on their roster. Like I said, only won seven because there was one team for really for the first six games just playing with more heart, and that was Toronto. Cleveland's gonna have to do a lot more in the next series. But like I said, they just did enough in that game seven to move on to the next round. So shout out to Cleveland.
Yeah, just to end this discussion that we was having about the Raptors, I think if you could look in the draft for maybe a guard, maybe trade away some assets to move up in the draft to find yourself a guard, I think you go for it. I don't think you don't trade away a Brandon Ingram or RJ Barrett yet because of the success that you sort of had this season, coming from a team that wasn't in the playoffs for like the last 2 years to now. You go game 7, so in the point you feel like you had a chance to make it out the second round. I think if the market is not there for a point guard, hence John Morant or something, then you don't try to blow it up that quick though. I still think this is a team that if you give a couple of these young guys maybe a couple of years, you could see who shines and who don't. So I do feel as if they could give it some time. Maybe a Jamal Sheed might grow his game over the summer. Taking that point guard role when Emmanuel quickly has been out definitely gave him a little more confidence. If he grows his game a little bit more, then who knows? We could talk about him maybe as a quality starting point guard level guy. Who knows? The future is bright for the Raptors, though. I say that though. That's one of my biggest takeaways.
Um, yes, I agree with what you're saying. I'm just also just trying to say I'm not sure, right, if a Brandon Ingram was still there, what's really the peak of what this team can do? You got to look, is Brandon Ingram gonna get better, or have we seen the best of what a Brandon Ingram can be? Same thing with the RJ Barrett. Scotty Barnes, I definitely think is still evolving, and he's still just trying to figure out um what's his best real role and how he can really contribute to being a number one or number two option. But in RJ Barrett and Brandon Ingram, I'm definitely just looking at how good can they really be. Like even if they got out of this round, how good was this roster and this team? I think they overachieved a bit, and once again, that was due to them just playing so hard. But I'm just nitpicking. Once again, shout out to Toronto for forcing 7 games and showing what they can do. And shout out to Cleveland for getting the job done. Another game 7 that happened the same day. Detroit and Orlando, right? We seen Detroit come back down from 3-1. I just wanna say I think it's so interesting to see a lot of these records just being broken more consistently, right? Just teams coming back down from 3-1, right? You almost seen the Houston Rockets tie up the series being down 3-0. And once again, this goes to the point that I've said in so many debates about the new era and the old era. This era is just more talented. So a lot of the records and things that we've seen achieved in the past is going to be more likely to be broken just due to how the league is right now. The scoring is up, right? The 3-point shooting is up, and overall, there's just a lot more talent. So I'm not surprised of teams now coming back down from a 3-1. I think we'll see that happen just more frequently, right? So once again, Detroit come back down 3-1. Them just just showing that grit. You got to give all the praise in the world to Cade Cunningham for never giving up on his squad and being that leader. But also in that game 7, right, you got to give props to Tobias Harris, somebody who gets talked about a lot when he is not playing well or not doing what he's supposed to do as one of those veterans on this roster. But he definitely showed up right with a 30 piece in game 7. Shout out to Detroit, Orlando. A team well didn't have the second best player in France, Wagner. He would have been very vital, but he's been battling injuries the whole season. So this is a team that also I feel like in the off season just see what they want to do moving forward, right? We seen them already fire their coach, so it's going to be interesting who steps into that role. Paulo needs to continue to work on his game. I've seen a lot of people say he's still figuring it out, which is scary, and that's something that I agree with. This is not the final version of Apollo Banchero, because if he can just become a better shooter, I think that kid can be a top 5 player in this league. So the Orlando Magic have some more playoff runs in them over the next couple years, in my estimation. But just what did you see in that game 7, and just what did you think of Detroit coming back down from a 3-1? Just what did they show you about their roster?
Okay, so one thing I'd say about Detroit, and this was very interesting because this series, I'm happy it went to game 7 because it showed Detroit's resiliency to bounce back. One thing I say about this is that's a team that plays with a bunch of heart and effort and definitely a lot of energy on the defensive end. When I'm watching this game seven last night, the game was over once one team really put everything into full motion. And when I say into full motion is they're converting on both the defensive side to the offensive side. And ain't much you could get going once you got guys like Jalen Duren feeling more involved. Tobias Harris is feeling like the second coming of a freaking Kevin Durant. I mean, there wasn't a shot on the floor that he didn't like. Kate Cunningham got his offense within the flow of the game. You know, you got the Jenkins kid who was feeling hot like the sun. You know, spacing the floor out for them, hitting some good shots, diming up a couple of players. It was an all round overall effort for them. And you know, if you could get that version of Detroit, it's going to be a scary team down the line. And I do say this though, one thing that really kind of is a little bit concerning for them, I believe, is their 3 point efficiency. Like I don't think they're a high rated 3 point team. Like they'll make 3 pointers, but they're not a team that can beat you with just shooting lights out and getting you out of here. So their style of play is very different, and I think it took them a while to figure that out in the Orlando series because they sort of match up well with the kind of size, height, rugged type of play, and I think that's what you really see. So shout out to Detroit though. They handled business. This game was damn near over within the second quarter when Tobias Harris went on that solo run by himself. I believe scored 19 points in the second quarter all by himself, and there was nothing you could do. They did not look back after that. Kate Cunningham joined the party with having his own 30 points and 12 assists, and then the others just got strictly involved. So, you know, it's very interesting to see on the Orlando's Magic side of things. I watched a 1v5. Justin, when I tell you it was Paolo versus the Detroit Pistons, it was Paolo Banchero versus the Detroit Pistons. And you want to say that, though? Because he was lights out. In the first quarter, he hit three threes. Somebody that struggles to even hit one in the whole game. He was ready, locked into play. He's been locked into play this whole series, and he knew what the stakes was. What I can't tell you, I don't remember nobody else doing nothing that game. Nobody else. And I sat there and I watched it, and I said, who's going to help Paolo? Jalen Suggs was a no-show. He couldn't buy you a bucket to save your life, no matter if he was open. Desmond Baines, this is a person that you brought in that was having a stellar part in the first half of the series. When it's time game 7, he didn't show up. Wendell Carter was I could have did what Wendell Carter did out there.
No, you
Nothing.
couldn't. No, 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 you couldn't. No,
I
no,
could have
you're
done
correct.
nothing out there. I could have done nothing out there. I'm gonna keep it a buck. The players that played out there, they didn't play. I promise you, Justin, it was a 1v5. And Paulo going to the bench does not help it. I literally watched nobody at a point in time in the third quarter, it was 60. Paulo had 30. Paulo had half these teams' points. These boys did not come to play ready in Detroit. And everything was lingering after that game 6. If they was destined to lose this game though, because you don't miss 25 shots after being up 24 in a game 6, and then coming here thinking you're gonna reverse it and then you're gonna flip the switch. No, this series was over in game 6 when they let Detroit come back. They put a battery in their back. They felt great, and then that led over to that game 7 victory. So they were fucked since game 6. They hopped on that plane to Detroit saying, how are we gonna figure this out? We missed 23 shots in a row as a team. We only put up like 10 points in the fourth quarter. And now we got to come and see these boys? No. So for the Orlando Magic side of things, you see they fired their coach. A lot of trades is going to have to be made. And like I said, I'm on board with saying it's either you got to keep Paolo or France. And France has been injury prone for God knows how long. And I don't want to be the one to say it, but I got to say it though. You're going to have to trade him, and you're going to have to bring in a point. Something's got to change. Because there's no
Well, hold on. Well, hold on.
24
I
shots in a
don't.
playoff series.
Well, I feel like we're moving the goalposts. We just spoke about Toronto, who also lost in the game 7, and you're saying you want to keep seeing what they have. They Orlando Magic's roster is young. They don't have a bunch of veterans on that team. What can you explain it? Why do you feel this team should blow it up, but not Toronto? Please explain that.
Because I look at it as Paulo and Franz do sort of the same thing. And I'm going to address shooting. Because one thing I say about this in series with the Magics, they don't have enough shooting. Like when I look at it, if Paulo's your guy, right? Would you want to complement it with somebody that could do a little bit different?
Well,
I
I
feel like
feel like
Franz
I can
Wagner
say
is the exact same.
No, I don't. Well, I wouldn't compare Paulo and Franz. I don't think they
So
have
what's
really
so
the
different about them?
same game. Well, when I watch them, I don't think of them as the same player. Like
So would you
that's
say
not
Franz
like
is a high volume like 3-point shooter?
I wouldn't
Because he's
say
damn near
he's
like
a high
30%.
volume. I think he's someone that likes to operate in the mid-range area a lot. He can hit a three-point shot, but I think he likes to hunt mismatches, right, and try to exploit the game in that way. Paulo, I feel like I said, I feel like Franz, I don't feel his game is gonna change.
It's not.
Right. I feel Paulo can and will. Once again, I say will get so much better, right? Learning how to become a better passer, right? Learning how to keep becoming a better three-point shooter, right? I seen Boogie Cousins, no shout out to them, saying he should get in the gym with a Carmelo Anthony, right? I definitely agree with that. But I don't say their games are the same. Now, if you want to say both of them need the ball, then I can hear what you're saying there, but I don't feel they have the same game though.
I don't know. I think that would just, regardless though, they was gonna fire their coach. But I'd say this because this is a playing success, and this is a team that even before that went Game 7 with the Cavs. So it's like we're still getting a feel of this team though. But just me as a GM, I'm not saying panic and just do it though. If there's something better out there that you think that can fit Paolo's game, if Paolo's my number one pick, my franchise, I would hinder to him a little bit more. France still has some value, but he's very injury prone. He's missed part of the season this year. He's missed a lot of games last year. So you know what I'm saying? It's like waiting for something and you don't know if it's guaranteed. In this case, a lesser Embiid, way lesser than Embiid. Because on the floor and healthy, yes, cool. But I think
Does
right
that
side,
game 7 look different if Franz is playing?
no.
I don't
No,
know.
I'm
I
gonna be
don't.
honest.
I don't know if I can say that because when he was playing in the series, did Orlando not look like the better team?
Yeah, but I just think
So
that
how so
Detroit,
how can we say him not playing in a game 7 would make no difference? How could we say that?
because if you're telling me, does he still play Game 6? If he plays this whole series, would
If
it look
Franz play
different?
if Franz
No,
plays this whole series, Orlando probably wins the series. They was up 3-1.
they was, and then which games did
And
he
then
play?
and then he got hurt in what game 4 or 5? Which one? What was
I
it?
can't tell which one it was.
It was either 4 or 5. So if your second best player goes down and you're up 3-1, you should still close that out. Once again, this is a young team. They don't got a whole bunch of veterans on that roster, right? And that's what when they and I like the point you brought up about game 6, right? When they missed all those field goals consecutively, something we haven't seen in the play-by-play era. But if they had a vet on that team, right? Or even and I like saying a person like this, I say him a lot, a Chris Paul, right? If Chris Paul is on that roster and playing in that game 6, they don't miss 24 straight field goals. Right? Because and I say Chris Paul because someone who can get someone an easy basket. Who do they have, right? Besides Apollo or Franz didn't play, who really can just say, hold on, I'm gonna even if it's not for myself, I'm about to get us an easy look. Who?
It's supposed to be Jalen Suggs, but he didn't come to the
Is
party.
it? I'm not depending on Jalen. Since when did we say Jalen Suggs is that guy? Who said that?
We don't, but they drafted him. So
Okay.
in the hence of things, he's supposed to like. If you want to look at his duties as a point guard is to set
I,
the pace and humble. Every
I
time I
like
look at
Jalen
Jalen
Suggs
Suggs
more on
play,
the
he can't run the
defensive
offense.
side than the offensive side. That's just me. His offensive game isn't that great to me.
So you telling me we got a Patrick Beverly?
No.
That's basically what you telling me,
Yeah,
bro.
I'm not
I have
saying
a
I'm
65
not
point.
saying a Pat. Shout out to Pat. Pat, man, if you want to call me on the pod, man, I seen they kind of threw you to the side. If you want to, we'll talk behind the scenes.
There's no
But
disrespect to Patrick Beverly,
no, I'm
man. He
not.
had
No,
a hell of
no.
an NBA
You know
career.
I'm a Pat Bev fan. I'm not here
Yeah,
just like Patrick Beverly.
that's no
I'm just saying
disrespect though.
I don't
But if you
compare the two. No, I do not.
talk about mad defense, no offense, that's
I
Jalen
said
Suggs and Pat
what I
Bev.
said. Hold on. What I said was when I'm looking at Jalen Suggs, I like what he does more in the defensive end than the offensive end. I didn't say he can't. I've seen him have 25 points in games before. Like I've seen him
A
have
lot
good.
of NBA players can have 25 points a game, but when I'm
No,
saying
so, a lot.
a lot,
Hold on. It's a lot.
yo,
Like,
listen, man. When it's the end of the season and we see all these casuals playing, these G leaguers
all right, but
playing,
those are
them
casuals
niggas
versus
are
casuals.
dropping
Those are
gems.
casuals versus casuals, not casuals versus them niggas. Let's calm down
All
a
I'm saying,
second.
all I'm saying is this, right? We drafted Jalen Suggs as our point guard. I remember Gonzaga, Jalen Suggs. fucking tough.
And is he a point guard? I,
I would never put him at my two.
yeah, I just I might.
Is
I
he a
mean,
two
why
guard?
not? Why not?
He doesn't have the offensive skills I say to be a two. He's not
And he
working off
and he
ball.
has the floor general skills to be a one. You're saying?
He has the height.
Oh, here we go.
He has the height and then the
Ben
physical.
Simmons had the. Where is he? My
Listen,
fault.
that's
That,
mental.
that was a shout
He
out.
gave up one game,
Ben,
man.
Ben. My fault, Ben. I don't know where that came from. My fault, Ben.
But you get what I'm saying? Like it's like, because who else am I gonna rely on?
Now, you need to now address something. Wait, didn't they used to have Tyus Jones on that roster and they gave him away?
Yeah, because that nigga couldn't do shit. Then I watched him. I forgot. Yo, I'm watching him in the game 6 in Denver. I said, they have him? That nigga don't play.
It's crazy what happened to Tyus Jones because that was someone I forget which team he was on at the point, but people
Memphis.
it was Memphis, right? People was saying he was literally the best. What was it? Assist to turnover ratio guy coming off
Yeah,
the
he was
bench,
that
right?
dude in Memphis.
So your audio said what? So what exactly happened?
Say that again? Oh.
No, I was just saying we went off topic, but Tyus Jones, somebody that Orlando gave away, was that point guard that maybe could have been effective in a series like this.
Nah, they gonna back up off of him.
But you
They,
saying Tyus Jones now can't shoot?
Tyus Jones can't shoot. You shoot better than Tyus Jones.
Nah, we're not doing that, bro.
Now I'm telling you, bro.
I can't say
Dyson
Ben
Daniels might
Simmons
shoot better
can't
than Tyus
shoot.
Jones.
Are you saying Tyus Jones on level of Ben Simmons?
He'll take it. Ben Simmons is not taking it. He's a little bit better than Ben Simmons because he'll take the shots.
Oh man, like come on, Ty. I'm not. We're not gonna disrespect Tyus Jones like that.
All right, man. I'm just calling what I see though. But I ain't trying to talk about the Orlando Magic and their mishaps any longer, man.
All right,
It's
so
a
let's move on, man. Shout out to Detroit, right? Once again, getting the job. They're coming back down from 3-1. Orlando, we will see some changes in the offseason. Let us know in the comments. Should they trade Franz? Do they entertain deals for Paulo? Even though I think that is egregious. But let us know in the comments what's next for the Orlando Magic. Um, we had a game 6 between Houston and LA. Now hold on, let me just have the floor real quick. Kendrick Perkins, come here, bro. What happened? I seen Kendrick Perkins come on all platforms saying Houston is going to make history and come back down from 3-0 and win this series.
clickbait.
What happened?
Clickbait.
Stephen A, where you at?
Clickbait.
And yeah, I'm calling
Clickbait.
out y'all too because Stephen A and I have respect for Stephen A for the grind he put to get where he's at. I always respect that. But I don't respect some of his takes because I feel they come out of thin air. When Houston won game 4, if you're watching the game, you obviously seen that their two best playmakers, the ones who's gonna set up their offense, was fatigued. And a la of Marcus Smart, who is out of his prime and older, and a LeBron James, obviously fatigued in a game 4. It was clear as day if he was watching the game. A game 5, LA just played bad. They could not hit any 3-point shots. Houston was hitting their 3-point shots. Granted, they earned those 2 wins. But I didn't see nothing even with those 2 wins that was gonna say they was going to win the series. How well, if you now watch that game 6, if you had put any defensive pressure on those dudes, they folded. Reed Shepard, who I like, folded in that instance. Jabari Smith folded in that instance. Tari Eason folded in that instance. Asar Thompson. folded in that instant. You put any type of defense on them. I like them as some young prospects, but I don't see how we just changed the narrative like that so quick. It was disgusting and it was sloppy.
Clickbait. Listen, let me tell you this, just
No,
first
but
of
no,
all,
that really irritated me. Seb, listening to these, it's Kendrick Perkins.
and he
They,
knows better.
that they was gonna win the based off what did you see? What I watched every game to start to finish. Seb, you watched the game. What did you see from Houston? That even when they won those two games, did you feel they was gonna win the series?
Listen, first of all,
Come on now,
no
slop.
team has ever, and everybody knows this, so I don't know why everybody's acting fucking dumb. No team has ever came back from a 3-0 deficit. And you was gonna tell me you was gonna trust Alfred Şengün, Jabari Smith, Amen Thompson to do so. The young immature team that gave away game 3, you was gonna trust them to win four in a fucking row when they couldn't figure out the first 3 games. You telling me that's what going to think? No, first of all, I never bought into it. They could have won the game 6 for all I give a fuck. They was not winning game 7 regardless, man. That's when you know what I'm saying. You got to lock in. They got blown out game 6. It's not even like it was a competition wise. They said, all right, we're gonna strap up. We're going to Houston and we're gonna handle them. They didn't even make it a game 1 bit. So I don't know where this whole narrative came from that they was gonna come back. I don't know who even said that. If LeBron James was a 3-0 lead, that was never gonna fucking happen. If
But
they
then,
figured
but
out
then it's like they're talking about it, bro. And Stephen A. I didn't even hear him break down why. It was just
clickbait, bro.
there will be a game 7 at Crypto.com Arena. Just
Why?
promise me on
Well,
that. Well, why? Tell me why. What from what? What did you see?
because they wanted to make their take about the Houston Rockets winning to make it look good. They had their prediction that the Houston Rockets were going to sweep them or it was going to be a gentleman's sweep. Now none of that happened. They see the Houston Rockets gain a little momentum, winning 2 games in a row. That's cool. The thing is, when you're in a 3-0 lead, you could give yourself that leeway to lose 1 game or 2 games. That's cool. They don't have Luca. They don't have Reeves. Reeves was still trying to figure it out. That's the thing. So, first of all, anybody that bought into the Houston stock is fucking retarded. They're just as retarded as the team. You got a coach that has a disconnection with his players, a center that don't play defense. Your superstar player has a burner account and didn't even show up. Hi, KD. You know what I'm saying? You still have obligations to a team. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not even a Lakers fan, but I'm just saying the reality of the situation is, nigga, they could have gave up those 2 games. Nobody gives a fuck. They literally could have gave up those 2 games, man. There's more veteran pieces on that team. They're not dumb. JJ Redick outcoached Ime Udoka, and their players wanted more, man. This is a young team that didn't figure it out. That's why they got spanked the way they did in game 6. They didn't come prepared. They talking about, oh, we the better team. We were supposed to do this. What happened? It's not even like I made it a close game. The only highlight from that game was Jabari blocking LeBron when it was already down 20. It's like saying Chris Paul hit a big 3 to cut the lead to 47. Give me a break, man. We done talking about these Houston Rockets, man.
Yeah, I just had to bring this stuff up because I mean I didn't really see today. Now I didn't watch First Take in its totality, but or any of these sports shows. But where is the people being held accountable when you say some bullshit? Just go back on your same platform where you said they was gonna do this and do that, and say you were wrong. That's all I want these people to do. But shout out to Houston. I definitely think they have some interesting pieces. A Reed Shepard, I definitely think he's going to get better. He has to learn to not take so many ill-advised shots. You're not Stephen Curry. So you need to learn how to keep getting your teammates easier looks, right? If you see that Shengun is trying to hunt mismatches, make that your job to make that easier for him, right? If you see Jabari Smith is getting off to a slow start and y'all play better when he gets off to a hot start, keep trying to feed him easy looks, right? And Asar Thompson, who is gonna find ways to score kind of period because he's someone who can get it off the glass, someone that can be somewhat effective in that mid range. That's something he has to continue to work on. But Shepard, if you're the point guard, your role is, I mean, if you can get to the basket and score, then definitely do that. But if not, your primary role should be let me get my guys going, right? And that's something he has to work on. Jabari, just keep working on your shot and figure out how to be effective if your 3 point shot is not falling, right? We've seen in a game 6 that your shot wasn't falling, you wasn't really affecting the game any other way besides that one block. Shout out to you. Shangoon, I don't. How Shangun is young. He's not even 25 yet. But you have to keep working on your game, young man.
Man, he needs
Um,
some defensive slides.
not even defense. Some people just aren't defensive players. So I don't want to go that route. But even offensively, it's like if you didn't have a mismatch, you was really having trouble scoring. So you need to work on your game. Period. I didn't really like what I seen from you. And then I saw Thompson. You
And
just got you and man, I apologize. You just gotta keep working on your shot. I definitely like the athleticism, what you could do defensively, your rebounding, attacking the basket. I like all of that. Your game will really unlock once you just learn how to be more effective shooting the ball. So Houston, I don't know what they're gonna do moving forward. I think it's 50-50 to where they could move on from a Kevin Durant. Is that the right move? I don't know. Cause some people could say, well, if we had Durant and Fred VanVleet, we would have won that series, right? And you're obligated to feel like that. But you gotta ask yourself, does Kevin Durant want to be there? I don't know. I don't know how all this burner stuff even comes about. It doesn't really make sense to me unless someone is just trying to break the team apart. But it's like if there's any validity to that, that's something that, especially with those young guys on that roster, that's not easy to come back from. So, shout out to Houston, LA, did what they were supposed to do. Shout out to LeBron at age 41, still he's been what, a top 8 player in these playoffs thus far. Just it's incredible to see just him, doesn't have that athleticism, but being able to slow the game down and, pick it apart, right? Really play in that mid post area and, just try to dissect the game. It was great to see. But we all know next series they're going to need a lot more. So what we could do now, instead of just give our predictions, right? Just for these next round matchups. Um, let's just start with the Knicks and Philly. Even though, damn, they had a game 7 as well, right? Just real quickly, said the game 7 Celtics Sixers. What what was your thoughts?
my thoughts was this: Boston fucked up once you let them get back to Game 6. I think that Philly played a stellar Game 7. I think there's more so. Joel Embiid realized that he has never beat this team in a playoff series. You take that into accountability. You take the fact that it's Game 7. You're without Tatum. You got to find a way to win regardless. And I think Philly came into this game ready to rock and roll. You've seen it on the faces of Joel Embiid. You've seen it in Tyrese Maxey. You've seen it on Paul George, VJ Escom. They just had everything rolling early. There wasn't nobody on that court that could fuck with Embiid whatsoever. I think that more so that the Celtics big man was really having a hard time just being able to guard or even do anything with him, and that led to just playing a little more help, trying to make switch up schemes and what. So Joe Mazzulla had a lot on his hand, having to deal with a Joel Embiid that's healthy and playing in that series, and I think he was the major game changer of this series. Joel Embiid being back was definitely the game changer of this series, and the Celtics did not have a response for him whatsoever. And it led guys like Tyrese Maxey and Paul George to really get their shit off. You've seen contributions from guys like even Kelly Oubre. Just overall, the team effort on the Celtic side of things, I'd say it's the same thing that they've been going on for the reason why they lost last year. Live and die by the three. And, Derek White had it going on somebody that's had a bad playoff series, but there wasn't much you could do. You didn't get no real contributions from anybody else whatsoever. Jalen Brown did as much as he can do, but it was going to be enough. Vucevic, I don't even think he played. I don't even remember seeing him on the court whatsoever. Kata gave you what he can, but they just wasn't as talented as the Sixers. That's my biggest takeaway from it. They kept the game close for the most that they could, though. But I think that the talent that the Sixers had and just the scoring abilities of a Maxi, a Paul George, a VJ Edgecombs, being able to put the ball on the floor and attack any defender that's around them, it made a lot of difficulties for the Celtics to close out in that game seven, especially at Boston. So when you add that into the fact that Joel Embiid is your prime scorer, that's a 7 foot person that could put the ball on the floor, that could shoot over anybody, and could get to the line. You have a recipe for the disaster. And now you got a guy like Jalen Brown sitting at home complaining, rewatching the highlights of the game, saying, if you're going to call that there, you got to call that there. And let me get this off my chest. Because this whole year, these Boston Celtics saying, yo, we can't wait to see New York in the second round. Jalen Brown's on the stream and said, yo, we got to see them again. Oh, we got to see them again. We got to make it to the second round. We got to see them. Y'all did all that hoopla and rah-rah just to get bounced out game seven. And mind you, nobody can say, oh, they didn't have Tatum game seven. You was up 3-1. I just want everybody to understand that. You was up 3-1. So you had 3 chances to close out these games. But instead, y'all wanted to fuck around and found out, man. Y'all played with y'all food, and the 76ers capitalized. So I don't want to hear nothing from these Boston fans saying, oh, we didn't have Tatum. Oh, it was a buyer. Y'all was talking all that shit when Tatum got back. Brown's our MVP. Oh, we can't want to the New York Knicks again. This is a different team. Well, get the fuck on, man. Get the fuck on. Y'all fucked up what was supposed to be the rematch, man. Y'all fucked up what was supposed to be prime playoff experience, man. We were supposed to be game one for Boston versus New York, but y'all couldn't hold y'all end of the deal and y'all blew a 3-1 lead. So you know what? Now we're gonna go to Philly to the tougher opponent, the team that had more heart, nigga. That's what I gotta say to y'all.
Yeah. Game seven. The difference to me, sort of like what everyone was alluding to, the Celtics just shooting those 3 point shots, right? And even down the stretch, right? A lot of them just started to not fall, right? Pressure wasn't able to knock down some key threes. Derek White did have a great game, but once again, down the stretch wasn't able to hit some of those threes. And same thing with Jalen Brown. Um, if I just try to be transparent to both sides. If Tatum did play in that game seven, not saying that they would have won, but at least they would have had more, right? You put together a starting lineup that never really played together. And once again, besides Derek White and Jalen Brown, the rest of them wasn't really too much of a factor. So that's something you're definitely going to have to look at, right? They also did not have Vucevic. So I definitely understand from that aspect. But when you look on the Philadelphia side, they was able to score in more ways, and that's why to me they were just a more dangerous team. Right? You have a Joel Embiid who can hit the 3 point shot, but we all know he's best when he's down there on the low block, just mucking the game up and being real aggressive down there, right? The Celtics didn't really have anybody that was going to be able to stop that, right? And he can also play in the mid range. Paul George, someone who can knock down a 3 point shot and also could play in the mid range. You have a Tyrese Maxey who can hit the three, can play in the mid range, and can get to the basket. You have a VJ Edgecombe, right, who's able to get to the basket. And then you have the Kelly Oubres of the world, the Quinn Grimes, who are able to knock down 3 point shots and also defend on the other end. So Philly, to me, just was giving more to the game in that game seven. They wasn't just depending on that 3 point shot. They said we can either once again get it from the mid range, get it from the inside, and then if our 3 point shots are falling, they are. So the ultimate X factor though definitely was a Joel Embiid. Definitely did what was expected of him. He showed why. Once again, I've said on this platform just so many times that if he is healthy, that's someone that can give you 30 on any given night. And that's just exactly what they did. So I'm not gonna say which team overall is better than the other. I think that's a conversation for the other day, for another day. But once again, in that game seven, I just feel like Philly affected the game in more ways. I think the Celtics were just too reliant on that 3-point shot. So that just came back to bite them. But moving on now, we can just give our predictions for these next round matchups. Let's just sort of stay right here. You got Philadelphia going up against the New York Knicks. Game one is tonight. So just give us your prediction just on the series.
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna say this. This is not an easy series whatsoever. This is gonna be a very challenging series. And I look at this series as both teams match up very well. Way better than we did with the Celtics. I think that just the versatility offensively that the 76ers have right now with a Paul George, with a Tyrese Maxey, and even a VJ Edgecombs, I think, you have a lot of varieties, like you said, and that's how they won game seven against Boston. So I'm looking at this matchup as, we can't tread lightly. You got to take it one game at a time. So I'm going to first say that I have the Knicks in seven. I know Knicks and six is a thing, but I do feel as if this will be a 7 game series just based on the talent and just based on the skill sets that match up very equally. Um, yeah, and the reason why I got Knicks at seven, I just feel as if our defense was going to go a long way more so than the 76ers defense. I think that just the ability that we have a guy like Mitchell Robinson, I think who's going to be a big part of this series that can, hold Embiid. I'm not saying guard or like lock down Embiid because, he's still one of the most prolific scorers in the NBA. Can, hold him and be able to guard even another guy like OG Anunoby. I think that's going to be big. I think our versatility on the defensive side is going to be major. And I'm looking at a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, who has just been unlocked as a point center, for these last couple games in Atlanta. I know it's a different series, though, but I think now he's more comfortable with his game playing out on the top of the key and getting others involved. I'm going to like to see more of that, and I like how Mike Brown utilized him. Another guy I'm looking forward to is OG Anunoby, just his two-way presence, being that 3-and-D, not even a 3-and-D anymore, more of a two-way presence because his game is looking more complete. We're going to be relying on him. I believe that he's gonna be an X factor in the series as well. And then even the other guys, I'm looking at a guy like Jordan Clarkson too. That's one of my main key persons off the bench. Somebody that had a good series against Atlanta and did provide scoring duties. I'm gonna look reliant on him to when the second unit comes in for him to keep the scoring duties up. And just most and foremost, though, the man who I feel like is good is the best player in this series, in Jalen Brunson. I'm gonna look to him to be special. He didn't really have to do so much special in that last series, but in this series, I feel like with the scoring duties of Tyrese Maxey, you're going to have to put up two. You're going to have to, cancel each other out. Because in the 76ers, like I said, team that puts up their starting five, even off the bench with the Quinn Grimes or the Kelly Oubre's, depending on who you want to go, the Justin Edwards, they're going to be coming ready to play. Andre Drummond's going to be coming ready to play as well. It's not going to be no walk in the park whatsoever, though. I'm expecting us to win game one tonight. I think that's the most important thing. I feel like whoever wins game one wins the series. So for the Knicks, you got to be ready to play. I know we had a couple days off. Last played what, Thursday? And I know 76ers just played Saturday, but we can't use none of that excuse. You got to be ready to play in the Garden. It should be rocking in there, man. I feel like it's this going to be a close game though, but we should pull out with a 5 point victory because I just think that just the home crowd is really just gets us going. And every time I notice, the better we play, the louder the crowd gets, man. The more hustle we have on defense, the louder the crowd gets. So I'm banking on just the home crowd and mixing with just the play of the New York Knicks and getting some of that rest to rest their players. We should be able to get game one. And that's going to help us win this series, though. Game one is the most important, I feel as if, for the series.
Um, I don't think game one is gonna tell who's going to win the series, but I definitely think game one is going to show a lot about the series, right? Matchups and things of that nature. I have Philly in seven in this series. The New York Knicks is definitely going to be a tough matchup. I expect this to be a tough series. I'm looking at once again. I said this last series. I'm looking at Carl Anthony Towns. He had a lot of success last series when the Atlanta Hawks didn't really have a center, so expected you did what you were supposed to do. Now you have a Andre Drummond, right, who is one of the most prolific rebounders that we've seen in this decade. And then you have a Joel Embiid, so he's gonna have to work. This isn't no Jalen Johnson and a Congo. These are people who are gonna fight down there, going to make it very tough for you. So I'm looking to see, does Carl Anthony Towns get into foul trouble? Joel Embiid is someone that's so tough to guard, and it's tougher for the officiates to officiate, right? So that's going to be very interesting. Jalen Brown is going to do his thing, right? I expect OG Ananobi to do his thing as well. Mikal Bridges is going to have to do what he did in that game 6 for New York. He can't disappear like he did for about the first 5 games of last series. And then once again on Philly's side, I think Max is going to do his thing. VJ Edgecombe, he's still a rookie, so it be game to game with me with VJ. I don't want to put too much expectations on him. I just like to see what he gives. But Paul George, veteran on this roster, he's going to have to perform. You're gonna have to me at least 15 every single game, and I'm saying at least. Anything under that, I just don't feel is going to be beneficial for the Sixers side. But the huge question mark once again is Joel Embiid. You just have to call a spade a spade. He got through last series and clap it up for him. He did what he was supposed to do, but are those knees going to be able to hold up? And no one can answer that question. Like I don't think Joel Embiid can answer that question. Nick Nurse can't answer that question. The medical staff can't answer that question. Only God knows. So some question marks on Philly's side, but just due to the fact of once again how I spoke about in the last series, they affect the game in so many ways. I think it's going to be a challenge for New York. I've seen Atlanta take the Knicks to 6 games. I would expect Philly can at least do that and make it to 7. But I have Philly in 7 this series.
I don't know,
No,
man.
no. All
York
right,
City.
all right. So you're a Knicks fan. Calm down. We gotta talk about more series. I don't gotta agree with you, nigga. Calm down. Relax, bro. You just said the same. Seb is such a biased, delusional bandwagon Knicks fan that he's gonna sit here. We both said 7 games, but because I had the other team, he wants to make all these faces. I don't get it. I
Okay,
can't.
okay,
Like, what the hell?
okay, dude. No, no, no. We
Calm
just not
down.
with the team.
Calm down.
Ain't no calm down. Now,
Re-
now,
re-
don't tell me to calm down because now I'm gonna
re-
get riled up, man. New York City, man.
Relax,
No,
relax,
no, I can't,
relax.
can't.
Because I don't want to have to get into the logistics with you real quick. Calm
Oh,
down.
what?
Oh, what you a Knicks fan 10 years ago?
Now I was an OKC fan 10 years ago.
Oh, okay. So let's stop right there. Stop when you're ahead. So calm down, calm down.
New York City, baby.
All right, I know where you live at. Calm
You
down.
better act like you know where you from. You better act like
Yeah. Okay, and I call it from what I see. I'm not going
nah,
against New York. I picked
fuck
them
that.
to win last
I'm
series.
about to send
I
you a
think they're
jersey
gonna
right
win. They're gonna win some games this series. Shout out to New York.
now. Nah, I'm gonna send you a jersey,
Moving
man.
on to the next series, Pistons and Cleveland. Um, I'm one of the toughest series to call. I'm gonna go Pistons in 6 games. Cleveland just a team that has so many question marks. You don't know what you're gonna get out of your stars. It seems like when they go on the road, just going off last series, Donovan Mitchell is going to have to play huge. He can't be having those 5 for 14 nights, and James Harden can't put up no tour date numbers either. So, but they're players. I just never know what I'm really going to get out of them on a game to game basis. Evan Mobley, I don't know what I'm gonna get. Jared Allen, I never know what I'm gonna get. Harden, I never know. And Donovan Mitchell, who I have a lot of respect for, I think he is one of the better players in the NBA. But I just don't know what their team sometimes. So I'm gonna take the Pistons in 6 because I feel like they know their formula for success. Once they went down 3-1, I think they really tapped back into a lot of the things that made them a 60-win team throughout the regular season. I think they just have all the momentum right now. So I got the Pistons in 6. I expect K to be special. Tobias Harris is gonna have to continue his play, and hopefully Jalen Duran now has the demons out of him. He seemed like he went to social media and was trolling, so I guess he's feeling okay. So I got Pistons in six.
Mm, for the fuck of it, I'm gonna just have the Cavs in six. I think that they're a well better offense than the Detroit. I mean, than the Orlando Magic. And I think in this series, though, I think shot making is going to go a long way. I think just more so of offense is really going to determine this because if anything I've seen from the first three games of the Detroit Pistons compared to now, their offense is not really, as versatile. And I think Tobias Harris is going to have to be very special. Can he be special against this team? I have yet to see. So I'm going to just go with Cleveland. I think Donovan Mitchell knows the stakes are higher for him now more than ever, though, because now more people are starting to say, when are we going to start getting more out of Donovan Mitchell? James Harden is there. You made a bold move trading a young point guard in Darius Garland to bring in a James Harden. So now it's time for them to show up. Evan Mobley's going to have to show up. I feel like the Twin Towers definitely are going to be a little more physical. I think Jared Allen woke up game seven, and I think putting a battery on his back can definitely lead to some type of success. So I'm interested to see that. Well, I'm gonna say Cavs in six.
Just quick question to you, because I need to just always understand your thinking. First, let me ask you, which team do you think is overall just tougher to beat, Detroit or Toronto?
Detroit.
Okay, so when the Cavs and Toronto was tied 2-2, you had absolutely no faith in Cleveland and you just kind of gave up on them. What has now changed from then to now to where you're saying they'll beat Detroit if you're saying Detroit is a tougher matchup?
I think styles make fight, and I think more so with the floor spacing that the Cavs have, and I think just them having two bucket getters that more so I rely on them having a Tobias Harris. I think it should make for an interesting battle. And then off the bench, you still got a defender in Keon Ellis, and you do have a Dennis Schroeder. And every playoff series is different of their own, so I can't just bank off last series when even though they did go game seven, though, this thing could be completely different. Though every series is a different boxing style. Every like styles make fight, so everybody's styles a little bit more different, in my opinion. So we definitely gonna see, but it depends if they could still either game one or game two. Then it would be very interesting to see. I might have to go Captain Six just for the fuck of it.
Okay, Lakers versus Thunder. Um, I'll just go real quick. Just me being a fan. I have the Lakers in. I'm full, bro. I have the Lakers in 7 games. Um, because I just have to be completely biased. I definitely think OKC is the tougher team. They just have a more complete team. They have all their players besides J Dub. We're missing our best player, so it's gonna be a real uphill fight. But I feel like the keys for the Lakers, right? One, you can't turn over the ball at a high rate. If you do that, these games will be over by halftime. OKC just feeds off those turnovers. They like to get out in transition. And once they go on their runs, it reminds me of back in the day when that Golden State team was put together with KD and Steph and all them. You just feel the energy in the building once they start, building a lead. So once again, you can't turn the ball over. Second, the 3-point shooting. So the Rui Hachimura's of the world, right, who had a huge game six. The Luke Kennards of the world. Um, and Austin Reeves, y'all are all gonna have to hit at least individually at least three threes per game. And I'm saying at least because OKC has 3-point shooters on their roster and they're gonna put up points. But that leads me to a number three. You're going to have to slow the pace down, just like you did with this Houston series. You cannot go into it trying to outscore the Oklahoma City Thunder. That will be a recipe for disaster. You're going to have to slow the game down. Once again, you can't let them get out in transition. You're going to have to let Austin Reeves and LeBron play in that half court and try to win the game that way. Um, and once again, still try to push the series to see if we can get a Luka Doncic back. I'm not sure if he will be back in this postseason. I hear different reports about. this injury every day. I'm not sure what going to overseas did for him. It hasn't sped up any of the damn process. I don't know what did he do out there or what did they give him, but I haven't really seen any miraculous comeback. So once again, being realistic, this is a very tough series. OKC is the best team in the NBA. You're going to have to check off a lot of boxes, but I got faith in the Lakers. No one believed that they would beat Houston, ge- um, warranted, and no one believes that they'll beat OKC. But I got belief in JJ Redick and the squad. I got LA in seven.
You know, it's always good to have faith in your team, man. Man, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm giving y'all a game at least, so I'm gonna say the OKC in five. That's me being generous, cause the way
You
these
don't give
boys
a fuck
look,
about your generosity. Like, what the
don't
hell?
you don't
No,
have to,
but
brother.
we don't
But
care about your generous. We didn't ask you to be generous.
that's all right, man.
Now you got okay, stand on. You got okay, see him for stand on
Nah,
it.
I'm just saying
Like what
generous.
the hell? Well,
Oh,
I'll give you a pity game or one game, pity game.
yeah,
Like you
that's
got
if
four, say four.
that's if OKC's feeling generous, brother.
Like
That's if
what?
they feeling
They
generous.
feeling generous.
If they feeling generous, they'll give you one game.
What are you talking about?
I'm just
Like
saying, man. It's a you know how much you gotta ask for a lot of shit to go right against this
I
team.
heard all this already in the when the playoffs
You
start.
talking about
I
a
heard all
Houston
this
Rockets
though.
team that
I
turned into
heard
a
it.
championship team.
I heard
Yo,
all
wait,
they,
okay,
they
okay, okay.
they
So
not
wait,
gonna get a game
time
against
out,
you.
Josh. Time out. Slow your roll, brother. Slow your roll. I know you just beat the Rockets. I
I know.
understand that.
Yeah.
Bron James, 41, get it done. Marcus Smart, veteran experience. I get all of that. I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
You gotta remember the competition. You gotta
Okay.
remember that. You gotta remember that's a young and done team. This team right here, nigga. This team that just came off a championship is not gonna fuck around with y'all one bit, brother. They're not. You
Over the
got six
last
skilled.
5 years, each team that won a championship lost before the conference finals.
I know, and
You could have said that every year. What does that mean this year? What?
all I'm saying, man, slow your roll, man. Slow your roll. You gotta go in there. You gotta go against Shea Gildas MVP. I don't think not one person on that team is gonna stay in front of that man.
Oh.
You gotta guard. You gotta remember that. You talk about offensive, but there's a whole
I
other
already
side.
I already gave you the keys to how they're gonna win. Did I say anything about stopping Shea? I didn't mention that not one time.
But that's the main thing that's gonna have to happen.
Shay, but the best players Seb are gonna get theirs.
Yeah, I'm saying, but
That's
how
like
you gonna
saying
slow that
Jalen
man
Brunson's
down?
not gonna score. He's gonna get his buckets.
And I'm
Tyrese
saying
Mack, the
there's a
people's
difference
gonna
between.
score.
I'm saying this is they're not stopping, but you gotta slow down, contain.
We
Not
just
nobody slowing that man down. And then you
I
got the
agree.
TikToker, Jared McCain, a light skinned nigga doing TikTok dance painting. He's gonna shoot lights
Great,
out too. Then you gotta
great.
worry about your big man down low, Aiton. He has a lot to deal with.
I know that.
Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, come on, and them boys can guard too. And if y'all not hitting the three at an efficient rate, this not. I'm not. I'm just saying though. I just don't see how y'all win a game.
Great.
So with
So
that
my
being said,
point to you stand on that, but I don't like to hear you say, oh, I did get the game if you just pity games. No, Stan, you got them in four. Stand on that.
nah, I'm just saying, brother. I hate to see it be that way. I wish Luka was playing. I wish this was a series where both teams was healthy. I really do wish that.
Okay.
But the reality of the situation is the fact that y'all even overcame this, but y'all gotta see them. I'd rather have y'all see San Antonio.
But we
I
don't
rather
want
y'all
to
be the
see
other
San
side.
Antonio. We want to play OKC. What are you talking
Y'all don't
about?
want to play OKC.
We do
Trust
want
me.
to play
If
OKC.
y'all wanted to play OKC, y'all wait for the conference. Y'all didn't want to play them niggas.
Like we do want to play OKC.
Yo, y'all so hyped to play OKC, right? This is what y'all went, and this is what we waiting for.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Do you understand? We got
Okay.
the goat. We got the goat over
Now,
there.
okay, I respect it though,
Like
but
what are you talking about?
realistically though, I got this series going five
Now
games.
let me just give a just one thing though. Hold on, JJ Redick. Hold on a second. I don't want to see Bronny on the court. If I see Bronny out there, I'm gonna break my television. Like,
Who's gonna play?
I don't want to see no Bronny. Like Nick Smith Jr. Like somebody who I see could put the ball in the basket and won't get stripped coming up court. Like, but not Bronny. And I think Bronny is getting better. Right from the first time I've seen him in the NBA till now, yes, he's gotten. better, but not that much better. Like so, that's all I want to say. I don't want to see Bronny because if he starts coming up court and they start pickpocketing him, I'm just gonna get very irritated. That goes back to once again my three keys. You can't turn over the ball. Like once again, if we don't turn over the ball, I think this is a lot closer series than people are making it out to be. But if you turn over the ball against this team, like you're cooked. Like they're just gonna do what they do.
Okay,
But
okay,
once
okay.
again, we will continue to talk about these series as they progress. We gotta continue to just this last matchup. The Spurs and Minnesota. So Anthony Edwards, I heard the report is planning to play in game one, right? He got hurt in game five, I believe, of last series, but he is expected to be back. Um, Another interesting series, Spurs handled their business against Portland, right? So I don't want to act like, even though I feel like I haven't gotten my credit and Seb hasn't said, you know what, just thought that you was right. Because I predicted the Spurs to be on the type of time that they're on at the beginning of the season. Right? I definitely said that. But the Spurs, right, they're here now in the semis. They got a tough matchup. You got the two Frenchmen battling down low. Rudy Gobert, you did your job against Jokic. I'll give you a A plus. You did what you're supposed to do. But Wimby's just a tougher test. A test that the answers you couldn't find on Chat GBT. You were searching up what is the best way to guard Wimby. And they said, brother, figure it out on your own. We don't know. So he's gonna have to look in the mirror on this one. Because Wimby's just the ultimate X factor. I mean, the rest of the team is solid. You have the Castles of the world, the Harpers, the Dylan Foxes, right? I expect them to do their thing, but Wimby is just that ultimate X factor. So, but I'm going Minnesota in six. Yeah, I feel like Anthony Edwards being here, he's going to be the one to set the tone. I think he is the best player in this series. Once again, shout out to Wimby. I know everything he's capable of, but Anthony Edwards, man, I think we're definitely forgetting about this cat. Seb brought up multiple times, right, on this show. This is the man that, got to the conference finals the last, 2 years in a row. He definitely knows what it takes. And I just don't feel like San Antonio is a huge mismatch for this Minnesota team, especially what Minnesota can do defensively, right? So I think it's gonna be a great series, but I'm gonna go Minnesota in 6 games.
I can't even argue on that too, because when I see reports of Anthony Edward coming back tonight, I said, okay, this changes everything for me. And I'm leaning more on Minnesota, just a team that's been to the conference finals for the past 2 years. Feel as if they could get it done. You know, adversity hit them when they could have folded against the Denver Nuggets last series in that game 6. And I seen a team with resilience. I seen a team that when there's a next man up called, that they're ready to play. And I'm gonna bank on that. I do respect the San Antonio Spurs and what they've been able to accomplish this season thus far, though. But I'm gonna go with the playoff experience of the Minnesota Timberwolves, the hunger in Anthony Edwards. I believe that Rudy Gobert. You're not gonna stop Wemby, but he's going to be able to guard him. He has the height, the length, so it's going to be competitive. And as much as I say that Rudy Gobert had to guard Wemby, it ain't gonna be that tough too when you have somebody that's similar height, similar length and size that's crashing down low. I'm not gonna say that. I think Rudy Gobert can impact this game defensively and on the rebound. I'm not saying he's gonna go out there and drop 15 and do all this extra shit, but I do think he's gonna make Wemby have to work on the rebounding side of things as well. I know it's gonna be a tough ask for Wemby to be on the perimeter 24/7. But I think Rudy Gobert can somewhat do something with him, though. This is somebody that's been watching this game develop. They played together in France, though, so he kind of gets a gist of how Wemby plays. You know what I'm saying? These are two Frenchmen that's they know each other their whole life in his basketball career. So I'm not saying it's going to be an easy task, but Rudy Gobert does far for the playoff series. I've been very impressed with him defensively, and I'm expecting him to still ride that momentum. This is a four-time defensive player of the year. Now you're going against a defensive player, so it's going to be interesting to see. On the other side of things, though, my thing is this: who's going to be the X factor for the San Antonio Spurs? Who's going to be that second in command? Is it going to be Castle? Is it going to be Fox? Dylan Harper? They're gonna have guys ready too. Jaden Daniels gonna be ready for whoever's gonna be that person that he has to guard. They're gonna have a bruiser down low and Julius Randle, who I'm expecting to, be that veteran player for them. I'm looking at guys like Mike Conley, who's their vet, and that's gonna have to step into that role. Nas Reed, I think, is going to be another factor too. Somebody that comes off the bench and give a lot of good scoring duties. He's going to be that. And can this year, 6 man of the year, Keldon Johnson, who I didn't see coming. If I'm gonna keep it a buck, I didn't see Keldon Johnson win the 6 man of the year. That was not under my. Maybe I didn't watch enough San Antonio games to see that, but that flew underneath the radar for me though. But he's gonna have to play the bench. He's gonna have to lead that second unit a lot, and it's gonna be interesting to see. I feel like these teams match up well, but I just really like what I seen from Minnesota. I think that heart goes a long way in a playoff series. And if you just have a team that no matter who is on the floor and it's next man up mentality, it's going to be very difficult. My only concern is if a guy like Bones Highland's in the game, and I know you could get away with, not the best defenders and not having to defend a lot of these dudes, but San Antonio, they guard. And not only they guard, they put up two. So that bench is gonna be a little interesting for me to see though. But if I have a guy like Anthony Edwards out on the floor, I'm very comfortable with that because regardless of the series, I feel like he's going to show up. And I don't think no teams really get the best of Anthony. The only team that got the best of him thus far is OKC. But other than that, I just don't see it.
So you have who do you have who and what?
I have Minnesota, and I'm gonna up it. Put some respect on the Spurs. I have Minnesota in 7.
Okay. Okay. Definitely respect it. Everybody, make sure to tune in tonight. We have the Knicks and Philadelphia game one. Does Minnesota play tonight as well?
Yeah, I think they played a 9 o'clock game.
Right. So also Minnesota and San Antonio, two great matchups. It's been a great playoffs thus far. A lot of twists and turns, a lot of surprises. I think it's going to continue to be that way. Let us know in the comments who y'all got in these next round matchups. Who's been the best in the playoffs thus far to you? Um, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Follow us on all social media platforms. That is debatable double underscore Jersey.
Peace. Did it end? What the fuck? Oh.
Nigga.